Hi all, I'm Emily again from Baylily Meets, and we're in the tent today speaking to the lovely Kim from Bespoke Beyond Events, and we're going to talk to you today a little bit about wedding planning and things to consider if you're going to look at hiring in the services of a wedding planner. So hello Kim.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the tent today.
Thank you for having me.
My presenting skills, and thanks for joining us in the tent today.
It's very good.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about you yourself and your business and what you do?
Sure. So my background is in PR and events, which I did before children. I've been doing weddings for about the last 3 years, and now I'm doing my own wedding planning, which is Bespoke and Beyond. So yeah, just doing outdoor weddings, indoor weddings, barn weddings, as well as parties. So
And whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Surrey, near Leatherhead, but covering Surrey, Hampshire, Sussex, London. So I'm happy to.
You're a Southampton girl through and through.
I am a Southampton girl, yes.
So really, I'm not. I didn't use a wedding planner for my wedding. I can see the benefit of them because I think they're amazing. When I was looking at my wedding, I always thought that wedding planners were very much for the rich and famous who couldn't be bothered to organise their weddings. Is that true, or is that a fallacy?
I think it used to be true, and I think people generally think a wedding planner is for someone who's doing a massive wedding or has a huge budget, but that's definitely not the case. I would say these days, wedding planners like myself generally offer a range of services. So if you have a big wedding and you have a big budget, then fantastic. But we also work with all sorts of budgets, all sorts of weddings, and I in particular kind of tailor my services to make it exactly to what you want. So it's definitely something to not discard completely if you think that you need the help.
So what kind of service? I see you offer lots of different tailored services. What are your kind of key services that you can offer?
So I do full coordination. So that's if you're newly engaged or you're at the beginning of your planning of your wedding and you just think, I don't know where to begin, I don't know what I should be doing first, how am I possibly going to bring all of these things together? So full coordination service would cover everything. So we can help you find your venue, your caterers, your flowers, your florist, everything. We can even make dress suggestions or designers to look at, and depending on your style. So we can be as involved as you need us to be. Some couples don't want you to be that involved, which is absolutely fine, or they know the venue they want if they've already seen it, or they know the style of wedding they're having, but they just don't know quite how to bring all the finishing touches together, which is when a partial service really comes into play. And then we just come in whenever you feel the need for a bit of extra help towards the end, and then we can finish things off for you. And for some couples, they love the planning, they love the organisation, they're quite happy just to crack on and they want to do it all themselves. But they just need a bit of help on the day and the very last few finishing touches, which is where on the day comes in, and we just come in and we make sure that everything happens exactly as you want it, everything runs smoothly, everyone's got power, the band is there, the food comes out on time, all that kind of stuff. We can just do whatever.
I think that's a big thing for the actual on-day coordination. People take for granted that they say they're going to do a DIY wedding or a very laid-back wedding. They take for granted how many little things need to happen in that space of that day, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Little things from timings of the day, which although you want a relaxed type of feel, you still need to have some rough structure throughout the day, because your day can go so quickly. And I think everyone says the one thing at the end of their wedding is, it went so quickly, I can't believe it, in a blink of an eye. And if you're not on the ball with your sit-down meal and your speeches, if you're having speeches, and your first dance, things can get missing, can't they?
Yeah, it's very easy for things to run over, because you arrive, things generally start a bit later because you're late for the church or the ceremonies, or the photos are taken longer, and then it only takes one thing to overrun, and obviously it knocks on to everything else. So even if it's just an on-the-day service, just having that person running around like a lunatic in the background, making sure that the food is out on time, that the speeches are done, then you've got the first dance and the cake is cut and all the little things.
Because you don't want to be doing it yourself.
Because you don't want to be doing it yourself, no. And a lot of brides say to me afterwards, I'm so glad you were there for that, because they don't want to be thinking about that. And although you think it's all planned, it'll all be fine, somebody does have to be there to be thinking, is this done, is this done, is this done? And then you don't want to be that person. You want to be enjoying yourself and having a drink and speaking to your guests and not worrying about stuff. So we kind of can take the stress away for you.
Do you have much involvement in terms of the styling of weddings, in helping people realise what kind of wedding they want? For example, I know a lot of friends of mine who have been planning their weddings in their head, but it's a Pinterest explosion on a pool, and trying to bring those things into it. Do you get much involvement in terms of piecing together how things will look on the overall day?
Yeah, we can do. Again, it depends on the couple. So some people have a really clear vision of what they want. They have a colour scheme, or they have a particular overall theme, and other people are like, I just want a festival wedding, and obviously that can be loads of different things. So if you have a general theme, or you're not even sure, we can make suggestions, and it can be a Pinterest board. We can put together lots of different ideas, like a mood board, about things you can do. Obviously we bring experience as well. We've been to lots of different weddings of lots of different themes, so we can suggest things that would work really well. Or if someone's a bit confused and what they think they want is actually 3 or 4 themes all in one,
all together,
we can be the impartial person that says, let's just step back a minute. You think you want this, but that doesn't really meld with that, and if you're having that, you don't need that, and we can just make things a bit simple.
I think going back to Pinterest can be an amazing tool to get an idea in your head about what you want to do, but it can also really confuse brides and grooms, because there's
so much to choose from.
There's such a wealth to choose from that actually, like I said, it's a little bit of a with a bit of rustic here and a little bit of lace here and a little bit of neon there, and actually you look at it going, well, it's kind of a bit not circus-like, but a little bit circus-like, because
messy.
Actually you're detracting with so many things to look at from the actual meaning of the day, which is you getting married and enjoying yourself.
Absolutely.
Do you have a particular theme that you've enjoyed? You've done events in the past and stuff. Is there one theme you've gone, that's an amazing idea for a wedding theme?
Not kind of like an overall theme. I mean, I particularly like quite a simple wedding. So I do a lot of outdoor weddings. I like sort of quite countryside weddings. But again, that can mean lots of things. It doesn't have to mean hay bales and vintage china and all that kind of stuff. It can be a really sort of classy, modern outdoor wedding, but quite relaxed.
Doesn't mean vintage china's not classy. Just
not
for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think I like to keep things quite simple. I like quite clean lines and stuff. I think sometimes if you have like a real burst of colour, that can be amazing, but go too far and then it's too much. So I think it's just working with your client and talking to the couple about what they want, and as a couple having a clear idea of what colours do we like, if it's a colour theme, or if it is if you're basing it around an experience. So some people base it on like travelling experiences they've had. So we've had a wedding before where they had travelled a lot together as a couple, so they wanted to bring in lots of elements of Australian food, of the globe, exactly, which was great, but then easily got quite confused, so we had to just make sure that it made sense. And I think also as a bride, you sometimes have to remember, and as a groom, all these little details are fantastic, but people on the day are not there necessarily to see all the little nitpicky things that you've done. They're there because they love you and they're your friend or your family, and they want to see you get married and have a great time with you. And all the little things that you're losing sleep over aren't necessarily
matter. I've always used the example of confetti on your tables. No one's going to care if it's a little bell-shaped thing or a heart. It doesn't really matter, because again, what people take away is the feeling of the day and the emotion between it and everything between you guys as a couple,
absolutely,
rather than what flowers you've got on your tables. But I think I've looked at a few weddings coming up in the next year. A lot of the clean lines are coming back again. I think there's been a definite draw away from the rusticy kind of hay bales and wood rounds and jam jars. A lot of people are looking at clean lines again and looking for nice tall things for their tables and stuff, which is kind of cool. A bit of a retro comeback from like late 90s with nice big things as well. So
exactly.
Kind of cool. So as a wedding planner, what's selling yourself as a wedding planner, obviously, and what would your top 5 things saying are the pros of getting a wedding planner on board for your day? Not just your day, but over the entire planning process. What are the 5 top things for why someone should engage with a wedding planner?
Okay, so I think one would be our experience. So we've done this a lot. As a bride or groom, you're probably maybe doing it for the first time, maybe the second or third, but you won't necessarily have been around as many weddings from an organisational point of view. You might have been a guest a lot, but it's very different doing your own thing.
That's a very good point, actually. It's the whole, you've been to weddings and you think you know about weddings, but actually you don't know about weddings, because you're only you're the front end of that, and you're not behind the scenes.
You see the nice bit that's taken the months of work to do. So I think we bring the experience and the organisational skills to, like I said before, to say to you, this is what you need to be doing. You don't need to worry about that. That's really you don't need to do that necessarily. So I think that's a really good plus point, that we can be a really good sounding board.
Absolutely.
And we have lots of knowledge that we want to share with you. We're in this industry because we love it and we're good at it, and we want to do that with you. I think another point is that we can make it a bit less stressful for you. Like I say, some people love the organisational side of things, and other people, it stresses them out. It's too much.
There's enough going on anyway, isn't there?
Exactly.
Worrying about the dress and worrying about this and worrying about the family and worrying about the mother of the bride. And
exactly. And all the little details that need to be done, but can accumulatively can be quite stressful, particularly in the last few months running up to the wedding and the weeks coming up to the wedding. Suddenly there's a massive to-do list and you just don't know where to start. So obviously if you have a wedding planner on board, then it's their job to do all those things for you, and don't worry about it. So that's really good. Another thing would be, like I say, on the day help. So as part of any package you do, whether it's full or just on the day coordination, on the day will always be included. So it's, like we say, someone running around in the background making sure that stuff happens.
And what kind of timings on the day would you say? Are you there for the entire day?
I'm normally there as a base for about 12 hours, so from about 9 in the morning to about 9 at night. So I make sure that everything is ready for when you arrive. Obviously the drinks are out, the canapes are ready, the tables are set, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm there throughout the day making sure that stuff happens until about 9 o'clock. Some people want you to stay later until the end and make sure that everything is completely done. But quite often you don't need to necessarily be there.
By 9 o'clock everyone's had a few drinks.
Exactly.
Majors
the food is out, the band is on, everything's going, it's just having a great time, and you don't really need to necessarily be waiting around.
That's the one sober person in the room.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to get home to your bed. So you don't necessarily need to be there for the whole day, but yeah, that's a good thing to have.
So that's on your side in terms of why you should have a planner. Obviously it's not for everybody, and I think some brides and grooms can be very much wanting to keep control of their day.
Absolutely.
So if someone's not going to engage with a wedding planner, which is okay, fine.
Which is okay.
This is okay.
We won't hold it against you.
What would your top tips be for someone who's planning? What kind of things do you think people forget about when they're planning? Like you said, for example, timelines of days and stuff. What tips would you say would be good for someone who's not going to engage with a wedding planner to don't forget on your special day?
Well, I would say to take it right back to the beginning. I think when you first get engaged, super excited, can be a little bit overwhelming, but generally you're very excited and you just think, what dress am I going to have? What food are we going to have? What band are we going to have? You need to think, very first thing you need to do is think about whereabouts you want to get married. Is it where you grew up? Is it a destination wedding? Is it somewhere near where you live now? So have a think about your venue and where you want that to be. Have a think about, is there a theme you want? Is there a time of year? And what's your guest number? So they're the key things you need to think about initially, because they would inform all your other choices. So they would be your first things to do. Then if you're getting a wedding planner, that's the time to bring them in if you want a full service, and they can help you from there on in. But if you're doing it yourself, your venue is really your most important thing, because until you've got that and you've got your date, you can't really book anything else. So do those things first. And then it's a case of then finding the suppliers that suit you if you're having to find your own suppliers. One thing I would say about that people forget is there is a little bit of organisation to be done between suppliers, because until you've got your venue, you can't book your caterer. Your caterer might also do your bar, but if they don't, you need to find a different bar service provider. Your venue might also supply coordination services for you. So quite often, if it's an indoor venue such as a hotel or a barn or something, they will have a wedding coordinator who will do things for you. So that's that kind of box ticked as well, so you don't need to worry about it.
Some venues have very strict guidelines on who they want to bring into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so again, if you really want a DIY wedding and you've got your heart set on a particular style of food or whatever, is your venue then going to be flexible enough for you to do
what you want?
Yeah, and I think sometimes people look at a venue and they fall in love with it and they think this is so amazing, but when they actually get into the detail of how it works, it doesn't actually suit them, which can be really, really disappointing. But if you find that out early on, then there is lots of other venues you could go to. But yeah, some aren't flexible in the sense that you have to use their particular caterer or their particular florist, and sometimes that might mean that it's an additional cost which you hadn't thought of, and that actually that takes it too much above your budget. So you just need to go a little bit above the excitement, think about all the sort of the organisational and the slightly boring logistical bits, and then obviously all the pretty things and the flowers and styling and then the dress and all that kind of stuff can come later. But they're the sort of things to not forget about.
The pretty things which everyone wants to think about first when
Yes.
they're planning, because that's the exciting bit, isn't it? No one really wants to, if you're doing an outdoor wedding, no one wants to talk about loo blocks. No one wants to talk about loos. It's not exciting.
It's not, or generators.
But fundamentally, they are the things that are going to make your day run smoothly, because without those generators, without those toilets, without those marquees, you haven't got an event. The styling of your tables, although it's lovely, your event can still happen if they don't get done.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say, from being a bride and from being a supplier as well, is if something doesn't get done on that kind of like prettiness styling, no one's going to know except you.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I think people forget that, like it's about the confetti and everything else. You get so stressed by those little details. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because the only person who knows, and from an outsider looking at your wedding, they're going to, it's beautiful. The room's lovely. There's loads of people talking. There's music playing. There's food being served. Doesn't matter. And if it doesn't get done on the day, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
Provided people go for a week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another thing to think about is, like we talked about, your timings. So if you're using a wedding planner, or you can just do it yourself beforehand, it's really good to have a slightly militant timing schedule, so you know exactly what's happening and when, who's arriving, what they need when they get there, to be able to do the service that they're providing for you, whether that's the band or a photo booth or a magician or anything like that. So who is coming and when, and who are you expecting when. So obviously on the day, even if you're not using a wedding planner, you're going to need somebody, whether that's your mum or your sister or best man or whoever, to be maybe not the best man, to be the point of contact for people who are coming a bit later, directing them to where they need to go. And at the time it seems a little bit militant, because everything seems quite XYZ, it must happen at these times. Obviously on the day things are very flexible, as long as you make sure things
big
happen.
Enough blocks of time.
Big enough windows of time, but also not giving yourself, some people give themselves too much, and they we need 4 hours for the meal. You don't need 4 hours for the meal. Once people are sat down, they're hungry, they want to get on with it, they're chatting and whatever, so that will happen quite quickly. So I think whether you're using a planner or just run it past someone else as a sense check, just so they know sort of what's happening and when, because obviously if you're the couple getting married, you're very much in it, and you want everything to be perfect, and you're thinking of all these different things. But if you run it past somebody else, they might think of things that you've forgotten, or they might think, do you really need to do that? We maybe don't need to do that, or how about we move that around there, and all that kind of stuff. So use your friends and families, use your people that you know, and they're often more willing to help than you think they might be.
Or will curse you at the end
or
of it.
not, yeah, exactly. Don't fall out.
Kim, thank you so much for speaking to us today. Okay. If someone wants to find out your services, how can they do so? Do you have a website?
I do. You can find me at bespokeandbeyondevents.co.uk, or I have a Facebook page, or I'm also on Instagram. You can message me via.
Lovely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of our series, then feel free to click the link here,
And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, click here.
Bye.